Hello and welcome to the video for Monday, November 2nd for game design.
Zooms.
Hello. Howdy.
Hey,
How you doing, Creed?
doing pretty good. How you doing?
Good, thanks.
Good.
Are you allowed to talk at full volume now?
I am. I left the room, so I'm out here in the kitchen.
Nice.
I'll have to be where I'm at today. This is my new office space.
Very nice. Plus,
Yeah.
you're within reach hands distance of the refrigerator, so it's the best option.
Yeah. There's so many snacks right there. They're all right there.
Hey, so how did you feel the playtesting went for your game the other day?
It was really good, and especially just like really informative. Like it just like helped us all realize that the mechanic that we had for the enemy attacks wasn't working very well, and it helped us come up with the idea of maybe having like a game master play the enemy against the humans, which was like really good as a way to, because like in theory when you're thinking about it, I didn't realize that the way we had it set up, because like the enemies would just attack from right to left, so the person on the right side of the player mat would always be the first to go, and it was just like, oh yeah, that seems kind of dumb that there's no like randomness to it. So even on Wednesday, Esteban was kind of like shuffling things around on the board and even kind of like trying to find a way to get a bigger table so that we could have it set up where the like game master playing the enemies would be on the other side of the board, kind of like
Hmm.
opposite the players. And so yeah, it was really informative. It was awesome, honestly.
Sort of like a Dungeons and Dragons style.
Yeah, almost exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed your game. I think that the concept is really cool. I love the artwork. One thing I was thinking about was, of course, if you have a game master, a lot of things are going to change, right?
Right.
Because the game master can do things like a dungeon master in D&D. They can come up with creative solutions. They can send in extra monsters, or they can back off on monsters if the party is a little weak or whatever. But one thing I was wondering is, when we played the game, you would go and you would basically stack your stats up against another creature, or maybe there were several creatures to choose from, the enemies. And then basically, if your stats outweighed the stats on somebody else, you could just like take them out, right?
Right.
I was wondering if maybe another thing to consider would be some element of randomness in that, like maybe you decide who you're going to attack, and then a dice gets rolled, and if a certain number gets hit, either they get off, or maybe you suffer an attack, or something that just makes it a little throws a little randomness in there.
Yes, and even like that was another thing that we noticed that I totally just like completely forgot about. But like we have the whole, we have the attack power and like your HP, but then we have the whole separate stamina stat that like in playing I was like, oh yeah, we never use this, but it's here. And so like that's we were like, oh yeah, what are we doing? So then we kind of discussed like maybe like Esteban was like, oh yeah, what if we had like a dice roll and then kind of like in some way that's related to the stamina stat, like you could try to roll for a dodge, and then if you're if you match like whatever the condition may be, then you can dodge an enemy attack. So yeah, there was a lot of things that were just super helpful to that I would didn't even realize was going on until we started like play testing. And
Yeah.
then even on that same note, like just the way that the stats are just currently set up, like because like I was saying, Esteban took the time and it was like all very precise, and like the stats are that way for a reason because they all kind of like balance out, but it just like was so difficult to try to keep track of everything. So like you were saying, like or like, and we were discussing too, like some kind of like physical thing, like even out all the stats and then make some kind of physical thing that like represents, oh, this is like 100 attack points, and now there are 3 of those 100 attack points on my character, so now I've lost 300 health. So yeah.
Or I was just thinking it could even be a card. Like you could be, you choose who you're going to attack, and then you go pick a card from this random deck, and then it has sort of a randomizer in it. It's like, either you miss, or you hit, or you hit 2 guys, or I mean, it's just another way to do that random thing. But
right.
yeah, it's really cool. I like the way it's progressing.
Thank you.
I think I think one last aesthetic comment. You know how on the cards you have that cool font at the top, and then you've changed everything except for like the little letters at the bottom. Uh,
Yes.
I think you should change those little letters too. I'm sorry to say, because everything else
No,
at the
that's
bottom
fine.
is readable except those.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And then even like, yeah, that was something I wrote down in my notes to fix. And then also, yeah, on the event cards, which like, yeah, that's kind of up in the air now too. If we're gonna have a dungeon master type person, event cards might not be necessary anymore. But we'll have to discuss that and kind of figure it out. But in any case, the event cards, um, Eduardo actually changed the name of one of the characters from it was just kind of a placeholder name as mini mech, but then he was like, those are guys are going to be called enforcers. So I changed it on the card, but I forgot to change it in the event deck. So it still said mini mech instead of enforcer. And I was like, oh crap, totally spaced that one. But yeah, like I said, who knows where that's even going to go in
Okay.
terms of if that's going to still be a mechanic, since we might have like a dungeon master type person. So we'll see.
Okay. All right. And how about some of you other guys? Jazz, what did you guys figure out from playing your game?
Well, I met with my gaming buddies actually over the weekend, and they gave me quite a bit of feedback. So what I've got now is, in addition to the mechanics that we had, we've got different cards have different discard effects. So you can even so if you can't attack, for example, you could use your action to discard and get some effect off the discard. And I've done that for all of the Armsnet cards, which are the ones that populate your hand. Um, so I have yet to play test some of these. I'm looking forward to getting back around to play testing it with my friends, so I can get more feedback. But yeah, it was a good productive session.
Yeah, it was fun. And it looked like you guys are. I liked at the end there where you had all the drawings on the table and everything, to show the different areas. That was really cool.
Oh yeah, but doing boards slash player boards in tabletop simulators seems like such a pain because I have no idea how you get rid of them once you place them or move them for that matter.
Well, you know, they have those custom pieces in Tabletop Simulator.
Right, but even the custom board comes down and it gives you a selection of JPEG, but
Yeah, well, I've been able to make custom boards before, and I would upload like a JPEG, and then I would create, bring it in as you know what I think I did. I think I might have used something else like a token or something, and just made it the size of my board, and then I was able to move it around and stuff.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. The token is probably the better route, um, if we're gonna do player mats like that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so far the gameplay is more or less the same. So going along that route, it's easier to say, okay, well, here's the layout of what you are doing.
Right. Yeah.
If you right click on the board in Tabletop Simulator, you can unlock it and then move it around and readjust it. But by default, the game boards are locked.
Oh, excellent. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Britt. Okay. Cool. Yeah, and I understand. If a player mat or whatever it just doesn't fit your vision of the game, that's your prerogative. Whatever you think works best in the confines of the game. Yeah, but that was really fun. I enjoyed that. Okay, and how about the Man of War guys? How did that play testing go for you guys?
It went pretty well.
Yeah, did you guys learn some things?
We kind of confirmed what we had suspicions of, so
Okay.
everything felt fairly balanced, like we had been planning it, and we just kind of like the islands felt a little lackluster, so we're gonna beef up the islands, but we were planning on doing that beforehand, and then we were also gonna introduce alternative maps. So
Okay, but things went. In other words, the theory matched up to the actuality of playing the game, right?
yeah,
Okay, that's great because that's a hard thing to do. Like Coulter was saying, you have. I'm not Coulter. Sorry, Creep was saying, you have this theory about the way things should work, and then you get down on the ground and everything's totally different. And that's what's so great about playtesting is it can open that stuff up. But sometimes people, whether it's the game itself, whether it's the more straightforward mechanics, or whether it's people have more experience designing a certain type of game. Sometimes people can theorize, and then when they play the game, it comes very close to that, and that's a real skill. Of course, game testing, once again, is so beneficial in so many different ways. Even if your theory was dead on, you still don't know how people are going to react to playing the game. So that's it's good in that regard. Okay, so let me put you guys into the attendance here, and then we'll get started. So, and then we'll go to game design. Okay, and then let me check to see about let's see now, Coulter, did you I can't recall, did you do your presentation yet, or did you need more time on that?
No, I got it started, but because of recent issues with my computer and phone, I haven't gotten it done yet.
Okay, so you're still working on. Okay. So let me know when you got that ready.
All right.
Okay, so we won't have a presentation right now, but let's see. Coulter, did you want to talk to us a little bit about your game and how that played and the player testing on that?
Oh, it went pretty good the last time we meet up for it. We all went through a couple of rounds. Everything's loading just fine into the game. Nothing like remarkable or crazy happened, but it all went fine.
Yeah, I was really impressed with the graphics, and I love the marbles and everything. That is so much fun. So yeah, obviously we talked about the fact that you're going to experiment, find a way to get in higher quality JPEGs of your images and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it looks really fun. I'm frankly, I'm quite impressed with the designs you guys have done and the way that they've manifested themselves in Tabletop Simulator. I mean, you've had great ideas, and you've married those with really, compelling artwork, which is it's super fun to see. And one of the things that I would really like to do, or at least give you guys the opportunity to do if you want, is to print some of these games up at the end of the semester. We've talked about gamecrafter.com or thegamecrafter.com and how that's an account that Pima uses to print student games, both card and board games. And if you guys are interested, if you would like to have your games printed, we can do that at the end of the semester with GameCrafter. Now, what'll probably happen is, you guys will need to upload all your artwork to GameCrafter. It'll have to conform to their templates, like card templates, board templates, and stuff. And then, we'll place the order probably in December. It'll come back in January, and then, I'll have to contact you guys to, either swing by my studio to pick up the games or make arrangements to mail them or whatever to you. But, you'd have to have like one point of contact, a person that I could mail the game to, or that could come by, and then you guys could get together and check it out, in your own time or your own terms or whatever. But I would like to do that. If you guys, does that seem like something you guys are interested in?
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool to try out and see like them actually printed in real life and stuff.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So why don't we plan on doing that? That'll be one of the last things we do this semester is have everybody, you can start as soon as you have finished components, just start uploading them. I shared the username and password with the GameCrafter account. If you need that information again, you can contact me, but just go create a new game in there, download whatever templates you need, watch whatever videos you need to watch about explaining how to do things, or ask me questions. And basically, if you could, over the next like 6 weeks, upload all your final stuff up there so it's ready to go. I can just push a button and order it all. And I'll check back with you on this, but I'd like to do that.
Yeah,
Now
it might be real quick. It might be kind of hard to do that because of the issue I ran into. The hard drive on my computer, I'm using a spare one right now, but the hard drive on my main computer just killed itself basically, and I'm having to get my computer repaired. I'll probably have it repaired next week, but I lost like everything on that computer. So I have all the artwork uploaded to the Steam cloud, thankfully, but it's definitely put a big dent in everything.
Okay. Well, I do understand that. And if, you know, if it comes down to the fact that you can't really print a full game, then, you know, so be it. But, you know, maybe there's also the potential for you to recreate some of that art in the time we have left. So, you know, just let me know when it comes time to the end of the semester what you can do.
All right.
But I do understand. Now, the other thing I wanted to say about these games is, you know, we are going to move on to a new project, but I would like you guys to continue to work on these games. And I would like us to play them again, to do more play testing with them, because I want you to experience this sort of back and forth of designing a game, play testing it, making changes, and then play testing it again. So keep working with your teams on your games and keep improving them with the idea that in a couple of weeks, we're going to play test them again, and you'll get even more feedback and get to see how they're improving, right? Let's see. Okay, so with that being said, is there anybody else that wants to discuss their game at all before we move on to other things? Okay, so with that being said, we're going to move on to the next project, which I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you guys. Share screen, share. Okay, so okay, the next project is going to be a project where you use a piece of software called Twine. And Twine is free, and it's basically sort of software that allows you to create your own adventure type of game. Now, it used to be back when I was a youngster that you know, create your own adventure games that just hit the computer, and you could find these little text-based games where it was like you were in a room with 3 doors, you know, and you know you had to type in like, oh, open the first door, you know. And the thing is, the programming was so basic on some of these, you had to put exactly the right words in, or it didn't know it, you know, it would give you a question mark back, like, so they're very rudimentary but quite fun, right? Now the Twine software we're going to be using is actually very sophisticated, and it can do everything from like a basic choose your own adventure game, like I just mentioned, text-based, to it can include sounds, it can include graphics, it can include video, animation, and also it has its own programming languages that will allow you to do more high-level programming. Like, for example, you can create lists of items in the database that's powering the program, and it will keep track of what items people have, like in their bag, so that when they get to a certain part of the adventure, it will know whether they have it and can defeat the monster with the magic sword or whatever, right? It can also do things like timing. Like you could set up a game that is working in real time, and there's a little timer, and your game says, hey, you have 5 minutes to get to this location, and then the timer starts going, right? You know, and much more, you know. And we're gonna look at some of the possibilities there. But let's start off with talking about the game itself, or the software itself. So it's located at this place called twinery.org. And this is it. And basically, you download this software. It works on Windows, Mac, and Linux. And you can also use it online, but I don't really recommend using it online because it's hard to save your games that you create online. It's harder to save them online than it is with your own personal software. So download it to your laptop or computer or whatever, and open it up. And basically, you know, there's a wiki here with all the information about Twine. There's a cookbook that has different coding examples. You can, of course, use Discord to talk about it. And then there's a community forum. And there's a couple other links that I'll point you in the direction of on the website. And then these are just some examples of work that you can check out, different games. And then here's a bunch of blog posts and stuff like that. So this is where you get Twine, right? Now then, I'm going to go back to the class website here. Here's some other helpful links for you. There's a beginner's tutorial here. And so it says a total beginner's guide to Twine 2.1. And then, you know, you just watch these short videos, and it's super easy and super fun, really, really easy to work with, right? So that's another great link for you. Okay, then we have this link here, how to create your first Twine story. Now, even though you're making games inside of Twine, they're called stories because in a sense, they're interactive stories, right? So this is from the Twine Wiki, which was mentioned on the last page and or on their homepage. And this is just a whole, information about how to create your first story, right? So that's another resource for you. And then finally, the Twine help guide, right? And then this is like, here's all the different links to all their basic, videos and tutorials, and then, FAQs and stuff like that, right? So, okay, so what is Twine? How's it work? Well, I've got, let's see, let me open up my chat here so I can see what people are saying. So it's, let's see, no problem. Okay, let's see. Okay, so I have a request here from one of the students, Victoria. She says she would like to ask if any class member would like to play test my game this weekend or early next week. Yeah, Victoria, we'd love to play test your game. And so why don't you just let us know maybe on Wednesday if you think it's going to be this weekend or next week, or maybe you can even just shoot for next week because we'd love to play test your game. So just let me know what works for you. Okay, so let me show you Twine. So I've downloaded it. I'm on a Macintosh. You open it up and there's a little link that says create your first story, right? And what you do is you just, there's a little block here and you go ahead and you give the first block a name. I'm calling mine start. And then you type in some text, which kind of explains to people what's happening. So I typed in, Joe has decided to go shopping. He arrives at the supermarket and discovers that in addition to the front door being open, the back door is open as well. Now, what you do, of course, and once again, the model is choose your own adventure, is you give people a choice. So I say, go in the back door, go in the front door. Now, the way Twine works, it's really easy programming. All you have to do is surround any phrase with 2 hard angle brackets, and it will automatically do 2 things. First, it will create a new block and give it that name. And second, it will link from this page to that block, right? So by simply typing in back door and front door and putting the links around them, if I close this now, this is your story map, right? Here's the start block that I made. And notice it's already clicked something called front door, or created something called front door and linked to it. And it's created something called back door and linked to it as well, right? Now, once it creates a new section, to go ahead and edit that section, you double click on it and you say, whatever you want. You have entered through the front door, a robbery is taking place. They see you and kill you. I don't know, whatever, right? Sorry, wrong door, right? So then you could say, return to start. And then let's see, we put these angle brackets in here. Hold on. Or actually, maybe if I just put start in here in angle brackets. Let's see, start. I keep hitting my, all right, there we go. So we can say return to start. And then, so it's kind of hard to see. I had to move this down a little bit, but see how now there's one arrow going down to front door and there's also an arrow going back to start, which means that this is linked both ways, right? So if I want to test my game now, I can hit test. And by the way, it creates the game as an HTML page, right? Oh, and mine, okay, here we go. Joe has decided to go shopping. He arrives at the supermarket, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so we're going to choose go into the front door. Okay, a robbery's taking place. They see you and kill you, return to start. And now I'm back at the front door again, right? So it's a circular logic. It takes them back. Start over, right? Okay, now let me go back to Twine. Okay, so I've already created this other possibility, which is the back door, right? And I can move this over so you can see the, that it goes back to start as well. We open that up. And in here I typed, you enter into a dark room through the back door. You notice a quiet moaning sound. It sounds like someone is hurting. Investigate the sound, go back to start. Okay, so that will return you in case you want to go. And then as soon as I wrote the words the sound and put them in angle brackets, it created this other thing called the sound, right? And so you could go in here and you could insert an MP3 of somebody moaning. So, you know, when they get there, like, oh, you know, or even record dialogue like, oh, thank God you came. There's a robbery happening in front. Good thing you didn't go in the front door, right? And so you can lead people down these paths, you know, infinite paths. Like I said, you can have them, you can make lists of things that they can pick up. And the list of possibilities is just infinite. So you can do whatever you want. Now, I haven't added any images into this, but you can add, like, obviously pings and JPEGs. As I said, you could do videos. You could do, you could add 3D, you know, a picture of a 3D graphic, or you could add an animation, whatever you think is important for you to tell your story. This is a multimedia software. So even though it's text-based at its ground level, you can put in whatever you want. You know, you could put in a background graphic that shows 3 doors, and then say in the text, you know, you see 3 doors, and then go through door number 1, go through door number 2, go through door number 3. Now, obviously, seeing the visual is much more intriguing and pulls you into the game a lot more than just reading the text. So you know, you guys who are working on this game, now, by the way, this game is supposed to be a solo project, so you guys can each make your own game, right? However, if some of you, through this process of working on the team project, if you have found that you really enjoy working together and you have complementary skills and stuff, you're welcome to work on it as a team project where, like, one person does the art and the other does the text and programming or something like that, if you prefer that. But this is also an opportunity for all you guys to just do your own thing, okay? Anyway, so this is how it works. It's quite simple. It gets as complicated as you want it to get. You can spend as much time as you want learning about the programming and doing things, and it's super fun. Now, let me go ahead and show you some examples. I got to go back here to the website here. Come on, you back to pima.dreamco.com. Okay. All right, we're going to game design. Okay, let me show you some examples of a couple of simple Twine games that I made. So this first one here is, it's a game that is, it's more, you know how some games aren't really games in the sense that, you know, when you think of a game, you think of, oh, we have a characters, we have a goal, we're gonna, you know, try and achieve a goal and there'll be obstacles, right? Some things are called games, but they're really just puzzles, right? This is a game, but it's really just a puzzle. And so what it is, it's a word puzzle. And what I really, in order to solve the puzzle and, quote, win the game, you have to figure out the pattern that's going on here. So it starts out, it just says twine is one way to spin a line. Is a game that goes well with wine, is how developers shine, right? And so you're like, what the heck is going on here? So you click on any one of these, right? Line is what makes me feel small, is what saves me from a fall, is wrapped up in a ball. What the heck is going on? You click on fall, you can still have it all. Shine, what, you know, what's going on here? I don't, you know, so, oh, you hit a dead end, right? You know, and so then it takes you back to the beginning. And so you're like, oh my God, you know, what is the trick here, right? And so you go around and you can investigate all of this and everything. And I'll leave that for you guys. If you want to investigate it and figure it out, you can. And I'll tell you next class what the pattern is. Some of you will get it, you know, very quickly. Okay, so that's one example, just you know, a wordplay puzzle. Now,
It's so cool. It's like when you first told us that this next project would be with Twine, I kind of started looking into it, and I was just like flooded with this like crazy idea. And it's really cool to see that game that you just showed, because it's like similar to kind of like just something that I was thinking. So I'm glad that works, because I was like,
okay,
I don't
cool.
know if it would work. So that's cool.
Yeah, it does. And it was fun. It was fun to do. Now, here's another game I did. It's a little more complicated. It's a little more like an actual game. So this game is called the Rainbow Murder, right? Let me go ahead and put this down here. So it says play game. So wealthy American travelers knew Lily Rainbow as the kind and generous owner of the Rainbow Restaurant in Beijing, China. But to Interpol, she was the secretive and brutal leader of an international drug trafficking operation. As a result, no one in law enforcement was surprised when she was found dead one evening in the Beijing Hilton, the victim of an exotic strain of poison. Miss Rainbow had many enemies and rival gangs in China and abroad. Your job as an Interpol detective is to determine who is responsible for the crime, right? So we click on crime, and oh, this is poor Lily Rainbow, who was found dead in her bed, right? Says you have received a classified report which contains the following information. So I won't read all this stuff to you, but basically it says it gives you background information on the murder, the mystery which you have to solve, and it tells you some items that were found in her room, and then it tells you what was in each one of those items. Basically, there's a laptop, a notebook, and a phone with a contact list in it. And so as you go to investigate each one of these things, you find these lists of people who have these really interesting names. They're, I guess I could say they're very colorful names, right? And each name, you know, reflects a color of the rainbow and, you know, is in that color on the HTML page, right? Once again, we're looking for patterns here. In order to discover who killed Lily Rainbow, you have to go through these and you have to, you know, you have to start making connections with the different colors and think about, you know, how is it that these people are connected via color and how does that make them the murderer, right? And of course, like, you know, if you say, it says it says somewhere in the notes that there were 3 people involved in the murder. So what happens is you pick 3 people from this list, and the logic that I programmed in is what's called conditional logic. And the conditional logic says, if you pick the 3 people that are correct, you know, return a screen that says you won. And then it says, if not, you know, then go ahead and return a screen that says you were incorrect, try again. So I just picked 3 random people, I hit continue, and the result is you are incorrect, right? Now, in order to try and stop people who are trying to scam the system, you know, sometimes you have to think about those people too. Somebody might go in and say, oh, I have to pick 3 people. What if I picked all the people, right? Well, you can also write some conditional logic in there that says, if everybody's selected, go ahead and say it's wrong, right? So basically, you know, you go through these different choices, and you can go back to the beginning and so on and so forth. And eventually you do one of 2 things. You either solve the crime or you say this is too hard and you want a clue, right? And then you work forward towards solving the crime. Now, I didn't have a chance to put the clue in the actual game itself, but I did put a clue on the website. So, you know, don't look at the clue unless you get totally stumped by the murder, but the clue link is here if you need it. So, you know, once again, this is another thing that you guys can try in your own time. And if nobody gets it, I'll tell you guys on Wednesday. And feel free to use that clue, which is right here. I suspect some of you will get it because you guys are all bright and you're gamers. Okay. So anyway, that's just 2 examples, right? You know, show you 2 different kinds of games, very simple games that you can make, and you can make, you know, incredible, sophisticated games. I recommend you go out there and look up some Twine games online to see the variety and of games and all the different creativity that people have involved in these. Now, another type of game that you could do, I know that some of you are very talented artists, is you could do almost like a graphic novel game, right? You could, if, you know, maybe some of you are working on a comic book on the side or a cartoon, or maybe you were inspired by the characters you created for this first game. And so you want to tell a story about them. And so you could make almost like a graphic novel, which says, you know, they entered the castle and they saw this creature and the creature said, you know, go and rescue my son from the underwater king, right? And then, you know, basically your a game would be a graphic novel adventure, and it would be a series of beautiful, cool graphics. They were interconnected, and there might even be sound effects, and there might be things to pick up and find. Once again, it might be choose your own adventure, and then if you make one choice, you go this direction. You make another choice, you go this direction. And don't forget, if you're the kind of person that likes to make really hard games, don't forget to put some clues in there that people can look up if they need the help, right? Okay, so let me check with you guys. What any questions from you guys right now regarding this project?
Not yet, at least.
Okay, seems pretty straightforward, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So this is what I would like to do. I would like to give you guys the rest of the period to investigate this stuff. And at this point, I've got you working on 2 different tracks, right? One, you're going to continue to work with your team to do play testing on the game and to eventually by December upload some artwork to the Game Crafter so we can print the game. That's one track, which you can call the team track. And the other track is the solo track, which is just you. And the track I'm putting you on is to develop a Twine game, right? Now, I'm going to give you the rest of the period to work on either or both of these things, whatever works for you guys. You might consider using time like this to work with your team since you're all here, or at least spend the first 10 or 15 minutes talking to your team and figure out what you're all going to do, over the next few days or over the next week. And then you can switch over to your to learning about Twine and going on your own solo adventure of development, right? Now, what I would like is for Wednesday is for any of you that have the chance to do this, to come back with some ideas about your Twine game that you can share with us. Like, you could even just write it down in a little, a big paragraph or a couple paragraphs. You could say, my Twine game is going to be about such and such. It's going to have these enemies. I'm going to use these types of media and so on and so forth. I would love it if you could just sketch out a little paragraph about your idea. We can give you feedback and discuss possibilities, and maybe that will help you, in your design process. So, okay. So once again, any questions before you guys are off and running at the races? Okay. So why don't you guys go ahead and work on stuff? I'll turn off my video. I'll still be here if you have questions. I'll check back at the end of class.